Hello guys, once again it's Matt, and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the Patreons. Make sure to subscribe and let's get into it, guys. And we are flying again the F-15 of the Japanese tech tree to talk a little bit about the future nations that we might see in the Japanese tech tree, right? They normally are trying to add sub-tech trees in nations that don't have a lot of things to be added, right? So, for example, the Italian tech tree was the latest one. They got Hungary, proper Hungary. Of course, Hungarian and Romanian vehicles were getting added to that tech tree for quite a while, but finally they added a full tech tree last year, or a full subtree, if you will, for the tanks in the Italian tech tree as Hungary, right? And I see them doing more and more of these. Of course, the UK already has the South African vehicles, and of course the Swedish have the Finnish vehicles. But there is a nation that I think is in even a bigger need than Italy, the UK, and even Sweden for vehicles, which is Japan, right? Japan is a nation that they always, I mean, it's a small country, or smaller at least, so of course they tend to focus on less types of vehicles. Of course, in World War II, it was kind of craziness, right? As every country was using a lot of types of aircraft and tanks and stuff. But in the Cold War area, you know, the Japanese tech tree is kind of missing a lot of things. Not missing. They basically have everything that they should have, but there's nothing else that can be added, right? Apart from like an F2 that they might add for the aircraft. Apart from maybe, I don't know, more modern, technically versions of the F-15, there is not a lot of things that can be added. The F-35 maybe in the far future. As tanks go, I mean, we already have the most modern tanks, which is the Type 10, right? So I kind of think that we are limited a lot in the future of the Japanese tech tree. And of course, it was always a country that is a little bit limited nonetheless. But of course, we can always have new additions for Japan, and being, you know, subtrees. A lot of people talk about South Korea, but it was kind of already denied, it was not officially denied, but I don't think they're going to add South Korea for Japan because of what happened in World War II and even before that, between the two countries, or even a country that wasn't really a country because it was being dominated, right? But you know, it isn't really fair to add the South Korean like tech tree to the Japanese. I think it is a little bit more cool and more fair to have a full-fledged Korean tech tree with maybe North and South Korea being together in that. But if South Korea isn't really going to be added, what else we can have? Well, one of the options, or three of the options that I see being possible to be added would be a lot of other Asian countries. We have three that I actually researched a little bit, that I think would be kind of fitting. The first one is Singapore. Singapore is a country that, although it doesn't really like have a large number of vehicles, because it is also a small country, it has some very interesting ones. In the air, for example, they can have a substantial amount of F-16Cs, for example, F-5Ss, which are going to be very, very interesting as well. It's basically a modernized F-5 that would be very, very cool. Of course, the F-35 in the future, but also the F-15E Strike Eagle, so it would be kind of a multi-role aircraft for them, actually adding as well the M120 C5, C7s to the Japanese tech tree, AIM-9Xs and other missiles like that, even the Python 4 in theory, right? So for the Air Force, it could really ramp it up, the top dogs of Japan. They use some helicopters as well that can be added. And for the tanks, they use, if I'm not mistaken, as their main battle tank, a Leopard. Yeah, that would be kind of boring, of course, because another country receiving a Leopard. But it can be kind of modernized, or I mean, a lot modernized. It has the AMAP, Advanced Modular Armor Protection, active defense systems as well. So it is a very modernized Leopard 2, and I think they have 2A7 if I'm not mistaken as well, or they were going to buy actually, but I don't think they received. I don't know a lot of the history, but they can have the Leopard 2, and then they have a lot of just very interesting like lighter vehicles as well. I did a whole video talking about a subtree for the Singaporean Air Force or Singaporean you know tech tree in the Japanese tech tree. Another one that we can have is something I don't know, like maybe the Indonesians, right? The Indonesians, they have some interesting aircraft as well. On the tank side of things is a little bit less, but on the aircraft they can even have Su-30s and Su-27s. I doubt that we would see such a country maybe because of that, but because using the Su-27 and Su-30 in Japanese tech tree would be kind of weird. But it can happen, you know. Back in the day they used a mix of Russian and other aircraft, like even like MiG-21s and MiG-19s, MiG-17s, Sabres, the CAC Sabre, for example, from Australia, the F5 as well, the A4, the Bronco. So there's a lot of aircraft that could be added there. And for the top dogs, it could be some of more advanced versions of the F-16 and even the Rafale as well. They have also the T-50, which is basically a very advanced jet trainer as well, which would be cool, right? So it's a country that has a lot of options in the air, especially, but it's very mixed what they have. So I don't know if Gaijin would actually want to add something like that, because it is a mix of Russian and other aircraft. So for the Japanese tech tree, I still think that the Singaporeans would be a little bit better. And the last one that I researched a little bit would be the Royal Thai Air Force, right, from Thailand. So they also can use the F5, F-16s, you know, they have ADFs, MLUs, you know, aircraft like that. So nothing too modern on the F-16, but then they use the Gripen as well, apparently in lower numbers, but still Gripen C and D variants. So another country that could actually take that as well. As I said, it would be kind of a less cool version or less cool like nation, because I still think that Singapore would be cooler because it has just more variety of vehicles that are a little bit more unique and better for the Japanese tech tree itself. But all of these countries could be added, and apart from those, I mean, there are always here and there some vehicle that can be added, but to be honest, I think especially the Singaporean Air Force would be the most suiting for the Japanese tech tree. But anyway, let me know in the comments what would you like to see in the Japanese tech tree as a subtree, if at all. And yeah, I see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe, and bye. I'm bailing out from this F-15J burning.